Promising Young Woman is well, it's completely got me fucked up. And it's had me fucked up for days. I haven't been this disturbed in a long time. Um Maybe I shouldn't be on camera for this one. Let's do a little bit of story time. I've been staying sober, right? I got a little out of control in 2019, 2020. You know, a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, a lot of going to the bar, a lot of hooking up, that kind of thing. A lot of borderline manic episodes. So I've been staying sober lately, and I've been sober for a while, and I wanted to go out of the house and do something for myself. I realize that most of my friends are still in the lifestyle that I'm trying to change. Most of my friends are alcoholics and drug addicts or generally bad influences. So I end up doing a lot of things by myself lately. And in late January, I went downtown and had an excellent slice of pizza, and finally went and saw that Promising Young Woman film at the theater, at the local theater. And I've been wanting to see it for a very long time. That poster is one of my favorite posters ever, if not my favorite poster in the world. Props to the poster designer, props on that piece of advertisement, that marketing, because it definitely engaged me. The reason I saw this movie is quite literally based on this poster that I'm showing you right now. That's why I saw this movie. I couldn't get this mood, this aesthetic out of my head, and I wanted to experience more of it. To be frank, COVID-19 hasn't kept me away from the theater any more than anything else, really. The last movie I saw in theater before Promising Young Woman was 8th grade. Interesting that it was a Bo Burnham film, and Bo Burnham plays a key role in Promising Young Woman as well. But I've kind of fallen out of love with movie theaters long before COVID forced everybody home. But it was a really nice experience, and maybe it was really nice because there were only 2 or 3 other people in the theater, and this was a Saturday night at like 8:30, by the way. And there were 2 or 3 other young women, in the very back, and they weren't together. They were all there on their own. And in my head, I'm like, man, we're the heroes. We are the ones who are here on a Saturday night by ourselves to see this disturbing little thriller, this dark comedy, this film called Promising Young Woman. The film is masterfully composed by Emerald Fennell. It's masterfully directed by Emerald Fennell. My jaw dropped so many times during this film that, I mean, it was permanently just plastered, glued to the floor. I was thrilled by it. Absolutely thrilled by this film. And targeted, too. It's a film that makes you feel guilty and unsafe. And I've never done anything remotely like the so-called nice guys in this movie. I've never assaulted a woman. Ever. But there's this Bo Burnham character. And you have to look at it as a larger tapestry. Don't look at it so hyper-literally. Look at it as every man is complicit in rape culture. Every man is complicit in the behavior that predominates masculinity. That every man is complicit, but to varying different degrees. So in the film, if we take it hyper literally, Bo Burnham's character was there the night of a rape and watched it happen and thought it was funny, or at least outrageous. Now, we can't really transpose that hyper literally. I mean, we can. These things happen These things absolutely happen. But in order to feel targeted by a film, the film has to give you the tools to do that. And through Bo Burnham, who is someone who, my personality has often been compared to Bo Burnham's in my real life. So it was quite easy to see myself in this character before he's exposed as complicit, before he's exposed as involved. And the shit he says, like, yeah, go ahead, share that video, ruin my career, then we can both be fucking failures. It made me feel shameful and unclean, unwell. Because to varying degrees, if we take this universe, and it is an unreal universe, this is unrealism. This is filmed as fantasy. It's revenge fantasy. And yet, the dialogue that it sparks reminds me of the dialogue that Spike Lee films can spark as well. Although this film isn't trying to be hyper-realist whatsoever, this film is trying to be... it is soaked in neon unrealism. It is soaked in a kind of like postmodern shades of the superhero genre as it stands in 2021. It's kind of just an incredible film, and before I get too far, 6 minutes in is already too far to talk about how extraordinary Carey Mulligan is in this film. It's one of the best performances I've seen in a movie theater, and possibly one of the best performances I've ever seen. There's something incredibly engaging about her. She is scary, she is seductive, she's charismatic, she's funny, she's understandable, she's unreasonable, and yet she's justified. I don't believe that the film is trying to be hyper-realist. I think it's a very deliberately styled and composed film where characters cosplay and strut in slow motion, all to music cues. Promising Young Woman is unrealism as a music box tableau. The fact that it's often unbelievable is fine. And I still have yet to see a decent criticism of this film. Those who complain about it being fantastical, ridiculous attempts at provocation, seem pretty fucking annoyed by how deliberately ridiculous and frustrating the film was meant to be, so... the criticism just doesn't seem to hold water. The more interesting discussion is in genre. Because I think Promising Young Woman definitely succeeded in what it was trying to do. What people seem to have problems with, if we can get beyond a political discourse. Although I do believe that should be firmly attached to this film. I would like to engage with people on a genre level as well. The question is really about the revenge film itself as a whole and whether Promising Young Woman betrays its genre, and then if its betrayal is justified. Does Promising Young Woman betray the revenge genre? Yes. It betrays the notion of fantasy. It betrays the security of fantasy. It betrays the security of the revenge film. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're not targeted by this movie, you are punished by the movie. You understand? Men who watch it feel targeted. Women who watch it are punished for not being strong physically as men. The ending of the film that seems to spark so much controversy, even among supporters of the film's politics. If you don't like the ending of this movie, not only do I hate you, but you're literally the worst kind of person out there. This is an amazing film that breaks the fantasy. Do you understand? First of all, talk about one of the most brilliant things I've seen in a film in so long. That toxic, disjointed orchestral arrangement as Carey Mulligan, Cassandra, is dressed up as that fucking nurse from hell, and all the symbols, all the power from that, being that she dropped out of med school, being that she's going to... It's so fucking powerful. and stylized and cool and sexy and dangerous. And yes, Cassandra, women of the modern era, of the digital era, of the post-digital era, have specific tools. They have the tools of psychology. They could shame you. They could deconstruct you in person to your face, make you feel like a fucking, like nothing, like less than zero. They can destroy you with their words, with their posturing, with their sex. They can destroy you through social media. They can expose who you are, because they can operate the airwaves. They absolutely can. But what they can't do is physically overpower you. Cassandra is murdered. She is suffocated with a pillow, and the guy breaks, he's handcuffed to the bed, and he breaks one of the handcuffs free. Of course he does. He's a strong fucking man. And she is helpless. Her screams. Oh my god, her screams in that movie theater. Oh my god, her screams. That's so fucking disturbing. So fucking scary. So fucking unreal. Her screams. Break the fantasy. Fuck the fantasy. Women don't get the high-octane revenge fantasy you guys are looking for. Not if you want it with a shred of compositional integrity. I mean, she wins in the end, of course. Of course she does. But do you understand it's to make men feel unsafe and to have women within that as well? Because for this whole film, if you're watching it as a woman, you could have a revenge fantasy moment of like, yeah, fuck all these guys. Fuck every one of them. This is great. And then that scene happens, the turn happens, the drastic, deranged, brutal, confrontational turn. And all of a sudden, if you're watching it as a woman, you are punished. You are punished for thinking that you could have your revenge. You are punished for thinking that you could be a superhero here. And if you're watching it as a male, you feel even more unclean, because for a second you think you're going to get away with it. Not you, personally, of course. I don't think anyone out there, including me, including you, no one out there is going to go assault any women, let alone murder them. But if we can play along with the film, which I think you should, because that's an honest way of engaging with it, you're going to get away. Because it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, right? The tables turn, and you realize you've had the upper hand all along. That it's really not as fantastical and unreal as you assumed that it was, because it doesn't only betray its own genre here, that being the revenge fantasy genre. She's not indestructible. She's very destructible, and it's not a fantasy, or even in a fantasy. That no fantasy is fantastical enough for Cassandra to have her cake and eat it too. Do you understand the importance of this kind of turn? This kind of turn is meant to fuck you up for weeks, and it has done that for me. It absolutely has done that for me. I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I'm not in a good place because of this movie. This movie is beautiful to watch. I'm going to watch it a lot, because I haven't been this disturbed by a film in such a long time. I haven't felt this implicated by a film in a very long time, and it was very strange to continue with my story time, because I had made plans to meet friends at a bar after the film, and it's this one spot in town where there's like 3 or 4 bars, all within the same kind of building. It's just a different door. You know, there's always a ton of people there. It doesn't matter if there's COVID-19. This is Florida, for Christ's sakes. it was pretty packed, pretty crowded. There was music everywhere. Um, Lots of drunk women everywhere, too. And I started thinking about myself, right? And looking around and going, like, have I been facilitating some poor behaviors that I've seen there? Because I was sober at the bar this time, mind you. I was sober. It was my first time at the bar sober. And I started looking around at the way people were engaging with each other. People were interacting with each other, especially people of opposite sex. Engaging with, like, talking to each other. And I started to think, have I ever been complicit? Have I ever seen something bad happen and let it happen? I don't know. The fact that I don't know, and the fact that I ultimately had to think about it, that's not good. That is not good enough. We haven't been fucking good enough. Talk about men, we haven't been fucking good enough. I'm not an insanely progressive political person. This isn't about that. This is about, like, simple human decency. This is about a revenge fantasy dark comedy thriller with exploitation edges burned into it through a neon magnifying glass. In this kaleidoscopic, candy-colored universe of fucking brilliance. This is about just a movie called Promising Young Woman, working on me like a horror film, scaring me to the point of, have I never known how fucking unsafe the scene that I inhabit, the places that I usually go, I guess the country, the culture. Have I never really comprehended how unsafe the culture was until this movie? Like, what has been happening right under my nose? What has been happening in clear view? What have I ignored? What have I been too blind to see? Only the best films can make you have this dialogue with yourself. It's positively terrifying. And the most terrifying part is, this film is, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be terrifying for me. God, it must be fucking petrifying for women out there. In a way I can't really understand, ever. This film is gorgeous. This film is just gorgeously made. I love the way it's put together. Carey Mulligan as this Candyland muse, as this angel, because there's a lot of very strong religious iconography, which is fine because it's tapping into the pulse, because I believe that I'm an atheist personally. I believe that religion's coming back in a huge way. I believe that God is back in the dialogue, baby. And there are a lot of strong religious motifs, religious imagery, with Cassandra as Jesus Christ, like almost as if she's crucified, alone, pretending to be drunk on a bench in a bar. There, as a saint, as the Virgin Mary, as martyr, as a saint of which you can pray to, right? This is her sainthood. Saint Cassandra, Saint Nina, Promising Young Woman. There's a lot of layers to this film. I'm hardly even cracking into them because I'm dealing with the visceral, immediate, knee-jerk response to this movie. I'm just so disturbed by every Every part of it. Every part of this movie has disturbed the absolute living fuck out of me. And good. That's a good thing. Alright, Avenging Angel. Do your worst. I'm stunned. This is a masterpiece. And it's a masterpiece that completely betrays its own genre. Every chance that it gets. Every single chance that it gets, it betrays itself. Because fuck genre. Because fuck your rules. It's 2021, love. There are no rules. Only betrayal. And fuck it. Fuck you all anyway. We all deserve to be punished. A reckoning's coming. And you know what? It's arrived. Promising Young Woman is fucking insanely good. Holy shit, man. Fuck yeah. One of the best theater experiences ever. Like, it was so amazing getting to see it like that. I guess I have missed the movie theater. I still don't really miss other people too much. In fact, I fucking hate other people. I love the experiential quality of just looking. Wow. Brilliant. I'm floored, obviously. I'm probably gonna cut this video out now because the rest would just be me drooling, slobbering, leaping in praise, worshipping at the altar of Promising Young Woman, which I think is one of the best films ever made. Don't even challenge me on that. It's the most beautifully confrontational film I've ever seen. And it's made me so disturbed and so uncomfortable. And films have gotten so fucking safe. I'm so glad Promising Young Woman thinks that I'm depraved. I'm so happy that it wanted to punish me. Because I'm sick of being treated like a child. Which is something Promising Young Woman portrays grown men as blubbering babies. It's not their fault, it's not their fault, it's not their fault. Yeah, no, I'm not a child. This film gets its revenge. This film fucking hates me. And it's such a fucking beautiful movie. So fucking gorgeous to look at. Yeah, well, masterpiece. Go watch it if you haven't yet. This is Cult Boyfriend. Have a great day.